Okay, let's just dive right in. We use the internet every single day, right? For work, for school, for just chilling out. But what is it actually? It kind of feels like magic sometimes, doesn't it? But behind that screen, there's this amazing story of engineering and, well, evolution. So let's start peeling back those layers.
You know, this idea of a giant invisible web it's actually a perfect way to start thinking about it. It just nails the sheer scale and how everything is connected. We're talking about a system that links up our phones, our laptops, even our refrigerators, all into one massive worldwide conversation. It's wild.
And yeah, this really gets to the heart of it. We all kind of know the internet is the backbone of, well, everything these days. But if someone asked you to actually define it, what would you say? It's tougher than it sounds, right? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now.
So, at its most basic level, here is the answer. The internet isn't just one single thing, it's what we call a network of networks. Think about that. It's the actual infrastructure, the pipes, if you will, that lets all these different devices, everything from your own smartphone to these massive government servers, talk to each other in an instant.
Okay, so to really get how this all works, we got to tackle the number one point of confusion right out of the gate, and that is the difference between the internet and the World Wide Web. Yup, you heard that right. Pretty much everyone, myself included sometimes, uses these terms interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. And honestly, getting the difference is the key to unlocking how this whole system really operates. So here's a great way to think about it. The internet, that's the library building. It's the physical stuff, right? The cables running under the ocean, the servers, the routers, the whole structure. Now, the World Wide Web, that's all the books inside the library. It's the websites, the videos, the articles you're actually looking at. The internet is the how. The web is the what. And this totally explains the age gap, too. The internet infrastructure started way back in the 60s with something called ARPANET. But the web, the thing that made it easy for all of us to access that information, that was invented by Tim Berners-Lee in 1989. Pretty cool, huh?
And of course, the books in our library have changed a lot. We started with what we now call Web 1.0. Think of it as a read-only internet, just static pages. Then came Web 2.0, and that's when things got interactive. This is the social media era where we started creating the content. And now we're stepping into Web 3.0. This is supposed to be an intelligent web, using AI and machine learning to understand what you mean, not just what you type. And it's also about this idea of decentralization, giving you more control over your own data.
All right, so we've got a handle on what it is and what it isn't. Now it's time to pop the hood and see how this whole global machine actually works. The secret sauce here is something called protocols. The big one you need to know is TCP/IP. Now don't let the letters scare you. Just think of it as the universal language of the internet. It's the set of rules that every single connected device agrees to follow so they can all understand each other. These rules are literally the building blocks that make sure when you send an email, it actually gets where it's supposed to go without getting lost in the shuffle. So let's trace the journey of a single click. What actually happens? It's basically a three-step dance. First, you type in a website, something easy to remember like example.com. But here's the thing. Computers don't do names. They do numbers. So that brings us to step 2. DNS. The domain name system is like the internet's phone book. It takes the name you typed and translates it into a numerical IP address. And finally, step 3. That IP address acts just like a home address for a package. It tells the network exactly where to send your request to go find the data for that website and bring it back to you. Simple as that.
But wait a second, how do you even get on this network in the first place? Well, that's where your ISP comes in, your internet service provider. Think of them as the gateway, or maybe the ticket booth. They're the ones who give you the connection from your house to that huge global network.
And you connect through all sorts of different technologies. I'm sure you'll recognize some of these from your own internet bill, right? You've got cable, DSL, the super fast fiber optic stuff, satellite for folks in more remote spots, and of course, the mobile networks, like 5G, that keep our phones connected everywhere. Okay, let's hit the rewind button for a minute. The internet didn't just pop into existence, and believe me, it was not created so we could binge watch our favorite shows. The origin story is actually pretty fascinating. It all kicked off back in the 1960s. It was actually a US military project called ARPANET. Then, a huge turning point happened in 1983. That's when it officially switched over to using TCP/IP, that universal language we talked about. A lot of people say that was the real birthday of the modern internet. Fast forward to 1989 and boom! Tim Berners-Lee invents the World Wide Web, which finally made the whole thing easy for regular people to use. And all that history leads us right here to the 2020s, the era of 5G and the Internet of Things, where we're connecting, well, everything. And this is the part that blows my mind. The original goal, it was super, super specific. It was built for a small handful of scientists and military folks to share data. That's it. This idea of connecting the entire planet? Nope, that was never even on the radar in the beginning. So when you think about that incredible journey from this tiny, niche project to the literal backbone of our entire society, it leads us to a really important final point. What is our role and our responsibility as citizens of this digital world we've built? Because let's be real, the internet is so much more than just browsing websites now. It's the very foundation of how we shop, how we work, how we learn, how we connect with each other. I mean, everything from sending a quick message to transferring huge files, it all runs on that same basic infrastructure. But, of course, with all this amazing connectivity comes some pretty big challenges, right? Being plugged in all the time opens us up to cybersecurity threats, major privacy issues, and, yeah, the crazy fast spread of misinformation. So how do we deal with the social side of things? Well, there's this concept called netiquette. It's kind of a mashup of network and etiquette, and it's basically the unwritten rulebook for how to behave online. It's all about keeping our shared digital spaces respectful and positive for everybody. And the core rules are really just common sense when you think about it. Rule 1, remember there's a real person on the other side of that screen. Protect your own privacy and respect the privacy of other people. Oh, and try not to shout by typing in all caps, you know? And since this is a global space, be mindful of different cultures. And hey, if you use someone else's work, give them credit. Simple stuff, really. So we've covered a lot of ground. We've gone from a simple military network to this global force that's now connecting our cars, our homes, our entire cities. And that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. As this invisible web keeps expanding and wrapping around everything we do, what new responsibilities do we have to make sure it stays a force for good? Something to think about.